Hey guys, what's going on? It's Evan and happy Halloween! Okay, now, this is probably going to be the only time you guys see me in one of these for hopefully ever, so, you know, enjoy that. So there was supposed to be a new short film that I released today, and as I was making it, I just kind of realized that it's both impossible and not what I wanted, so I just decided not to make it. It was supposed to be released on Halloween today, and so we're getting another unfinished projects video for it. So what I wanted to do was a seemingly one-take, static, comedy-ish Halloween short. And what I wanted to do the short about was A Nightmare on Elm Street. It was supposed to be like a miniature Elm Street fan film. I'm sure you guys can remember the last time I did one of those.
Go ahead and run.
Oh shit!
Freddy. So we're all gonna die?
But yeah, this is an unfinished projects episode for an Elm Street movie that never was, that I had titled Never Sleep. Which, you get it, it's like the thing that they say with the... Anyway. The whole short was basically supposed to be about my character's insomnia and his inability to sleep and constantly waking up and constantly adjusting himself and stuff, kind of making it harder for Freddy to kill him. Like, Freddy would get progressively more stressed out throughout the short. And that was the basic idea of it, and that's kind of why it turned into a comedy, is because that's just kind of funny, inherently, that Freddy keeps failing to kill this dude, and the dude is kind of oblivious and unaware to it. And I think that's great, because I just haven't done a comedy in a while, and I'm starting to realize this whole thing where, like, a majority of the horror stuff I make becomes some kind of comedy thing, like fourth wall horror, like this. I think that I just like doing funny, scary stuff. I really wanted the short to be one take so we could at least begin to kind of understand or at least empathize with the slow burn of insomnia, because that's kind of what the idea was supposed to be in the first place. You know, I wanted us to be able to follow a character through all of the uncomfortable steps, like, you know, all the stuff that's involved with having your mind elsewhere when trying to sleep or being preoccupied or you know, just stuff like that. At least for me, that's how it usually goes for me. Just to name a few things, I wanted to go through stuff like, you know, being physically uncomfortable while sleeping, being hot, being prone to distractions, or using a trip to the bathroom as an excuse to not have to stay in bed. All this stuff I wanted to portray in a single take. Kind of. So I would be playing both the victim of Freddy and Freddy himself in this short, kind of just like the old days. And the main reason for it actually isn't because I didn't have anybody to work with or do this stuff with. I have now plenty of people that I can work on this stuff with, but it was purely an aesthetic choice. There was a reason why I decided to go with me playing Freddy and me playing the victim, and that aesthetic choice would be one of the major deciders of whether or not I ended up doing this short. I wanted a kind of almost dreamlike waking up moment every time, where Freddy would just disappear and that, like, in a hard cut, and you wouldn't see anything change with the victim. I wanted the victim to not cut, so if I had an actor playing Freddy, and I wanted to do that hard cut, and he was actually physically there, I think that would just kind of ruin the entire, like, immersion of it. You'd see the cut happen. Something similar happened in my recent short film from this year, Character Limit, and I just hate the look of it, and I really didn't want that to happen again. You know, I wanted it to be a little bit more smooth, like some of the earlier moments in Character Limit. So that would mean that the way that this was shot would be that the victim's entire event really is one take, and that Freddy's stuff isn't, that his stuff actually cuts away back and forth between different moments of Freddy entering the room and trying to get to him. That was at least the whole aesthetic feel for it, and that's what I was going for. It was one of the biggest things that I wanted to make sure happened. So as a result of that, you know, trying to get it right, I did a whole bunch of setups. Like, a lot. Like 4 setups. I'm gonna keep doing it. So my first setup, it was just to see how the entire thing would look. I set up my iPhone, I didn't even put this camera up, I didn't use this camera at all, and I did it during the daytime even though the actual short was supposed to take place at night. And the whole point of it was just to see what everything would look like, basically stitched together. I did a really shitty mask, just like a freaking hard line cutting through it just so that you could see what it would look like, the character entering, the eyes opening, and Freddy disappearing. That was just the basic idea of that first take. And it ended up looking kind of cool, and I really was hopeful about the entire short because of this first thing. I figured I could use auto-rotoscoping because I wouldn't have to, you know, constantly edit frame by frame over 5 minutes of footage, and I could just have the auto thing do a lot of it and tweak little bits of it as it was going. So I really thought it was going to work out. So I thought, okay, that's the plan. I'll get this done in a little over 2 takes with each of these characters, at least 1 or 2 times over, and then I'll just be able to throw them into the editor and stitch them together and work on that for the next couple days until Halloween, and then that'll work out. And it really started to come together for me when the lighting test started, because I was setting up the lights in different places, and I was really starting to enjoy the look of all of it. Like, it started to look really cinematic and really dramatic, which would be a cool, I guess, like, subversion, because it's really a comedy short, but you guys wouldn't have known that yet. You guys would have just seen, like, the lighting and gone, ooh, and then the funny stuff would start happening, and it would kind of, I think, work in this cool, fun, like, subversive way. I don't know. I liked it. So I finally filmed it. What I thought was going to be the first and last take of this entire thing. And I got a lot of really good takes with it, because, I got to do some really fun stuff with Freddy, and because the bed was kind of big and I could do some crazy stuff like jump. And then I brought it to the editor, and I realized that I made two big mistakes. And the first mistake was that the lighting was completely different between the victim scene and the Freddy scene. And the problem with that was that I had filmed Freddy's stuff first, so I had lit the room for Freddy only, whereas the victim was supposed to be the main focus of the scene. So I didn't end up lighting for him until afterwards, and then when I tried to stitch them together, it just didn't end up looking good, because there were just two different lights on, on the back and the foreground, and it immediately looked kind of fake. And the other problem was that I couldn't auto-rotoscope it, because the scene was too dark and they couldn't detect the edges, and I totally did not think of that, because the first thing I was doing, the first rehearsal, I guess I'll call it, you could see all the edges because I shot in daylight with an iPhone, where you could see all the edges very clearly. And I didn't think about any of that, and that kind of ruined everything, at least for the idea of auto-rotoscoping. So I was like, shit, now what? So the next thing that naturally came to mind was that I could try doing green screen. So, I'd gotten an old green felt sheet, this one. I've had this for over 10 years now. It's done me well. And that way I could split up the action, the foreground story and the background story, so that we could kind of, I can make them two different events. I could film in front of the green screen, then I could take the green screen down and film behind where the green screen was supposed to be, towards the back wall. And I felt like that would probably work out. So I did that. I set up the green screen in front of my mattress. I threw the mattress on the ground, which ended up ruining that take too, because it just looked so bad. The mattress was on the floor and Freddy walked up to the mattress. The reason why it was on the floor in the first place is because my bed frame is very oddly shaped, and I wanted to get the camera behind the bed, and there's no way to do that when it's still on the frame, so I just threw it onto the floor. So yeah, the mattress look was really bad, at least on the floor, so I decided to scrap it and try one more green screen take. This time my brother had provided me with this futon, which I'm actually still sitting on right now. It's still in my room. That's why my room is such a nightmare right now. But I used the futon to elevate the mattress, so I put the mattress on top of the futon, and then I shot it like that with the mattress in front, and it looked more like it was the level of a bed, which is cool. And the final take of the fourth setup actually ended up looking pretty cool, until it didn't. There were too many green screen artifacts, stuff I can't fix with the type of lighting I have. This lighting is not good enough to fully light a green screen and to make it so that there isn't any grain or any digital noise, and it ended up making a lot of points in the frame look really shitty. And at that point I just kind of gave up, because conceptually the idea of the one take thing was really selling me on it, the revisiting the Elm Street stuff was really selling me on it, having a nice fun Halloween short for you guys was really freaking selling me on it, but honestly it was just proving to be more trouble than it was worth. And at the end of the day, it just didn't end up looking anywhere near what I wanted, and I would prefer to stop when I'm ahead than spend my time doing 5 or 6 more different versions of this that won't work either. So that's never sleep. Anyways, feel free to subscribe for more videos like this. I'm absolutely certain that in the future there will be more unfinished projects videos, because, not everything's a success, and I like to archive my failures. So also feel free to support me on Patreon. You can check out my original channel where I was gonna post this movie. You can also look at any of my social media, and yeah, I hope you guys are having a great week, a great Halloween. Please be safe, and I'll see you guys soon.